You're watching BionicDance. Don't run on automatic, instead, please think.
So somebody recently asked me, they said, look, Alan, I was recently talking to a friend about same-sex marriage, and I spoke to them about it in a very winsome and gracious tone, but despite doing that, they still got upset. They were still offended. They still got angry.
So, basically, in a really nice tone of voice, your friend told a bunch of people that they're sick, they're wrong, they shouldn't be allowed to get married. And you're mystified as to why they might have gotten cranky about it? Tell me, what color is the sky in your world? Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. As you may have guessed, today we're talking about what one does when one's beliefs anger people. But truth to tell, that's a bit of a dodge. It's not about one's beliefs so much as what one does with them.
Well, first of all, let me just say I'm sympathetic to your situation. This happens to me all the time. And sometimes no matter how kind, no matter how gracious, no matter how soft-spoken you are even, people will get upset. And the reason is because sometimes just the content of what we're talking about is going to be difficult for people to swallow.
Gee, you think? I mean, what's in that Bible of yours? Everybody is sinful. Obey a God you can't see. Gays are scum. You can't be moral unless you're religious. There is not one part of your message that doesn't come with a "you're a horrible person" clause attached somewhere. It doesn't really matter how you present it when you're basically making fun of people. Why would you ever think otherwise?
And especially with the topic of same-sex marriage, right? There's a lot of emotions and a lot of tension in the culture about this issue right now. And so it's somewhat understandable that people are going to get upset about it no matter how you say it.
How you say what? That you don't like us and think we shouldn't have rights? To believe you can say that to someone and not make them grumpy, it takes being an extra special kind of stupid.
But let me just give you 3 things to kind of put this into perspective as you move forward in the future with other kinds of issues. And the first is this. Jesus said in John 15 that if they hate you, it's because they hated me first.
No, if they hate you, it's because you acted like an asshole. But as you'll see later, being disagreed with is persecution in a Christian's world.
And what he's talking about here is saying, look, if you are a person who follows Christ, if you are his follower, and you accept the things that he teaches, then you got to realize people in the world is going to hate you because you're not of this world.
Not of this world. But if Christians are space aliens, wouldn't they be all for anal probing?
And the principles and the ideas that Jesus taught that we are also trying to communicate to the world are going to be foreign and just on their own are going to be hostile to the truths that other people believe.
Except that's not even true. Not if they have open minds. The problem is, was, and always will be the message, the content, and what you intend to do about it.
So you just have to realize that that's just part of the nature of the game. And really, maybe you should take comfort in knowing that if people are going to get upset with you, if they're going to persecute you.
There it is. Persecution. Telling someone to shut up and go away is persecution, apparently.
Then just know that you're doing it for the cause of Christ, so long as you are speaking the truth in a winsome and gracious way.
Winsome and gracious way. You don't even want to know how many times he says that.
I've said Jiminy Jilliker so many times the words have lost all meaning.
And the third thing I'll say is that, and this is a quote from Mother Teresa, she said, God has not called me to be successful. He's called me to be faithful.
Which basically means you're not allowed to jump a sinking ship because God wants you to be a loyal minion. I think I'll stick with being successful, thanks. If I'm going to be faithful or loyal to someone, it'll be one who truly values our relationship. And your God demanding my belief and trust without actually proving he's real doesn't sound to me like someone who cares. In fact, it sounds like a scam.
And what's important to recognize is that it's our job as an ambassador for Christ to proclaim the truth in a persuasive yet winsome and gracious manner.
Jiminy Jillikers.
And then we really leave the results up to God. In other words, it's not our job to convert people.
That's the one thing this guy says that I can respect. If he truly means it, that he's not going to try to convert people, that's lovely. Live and let live. It's the ones who try to have the law enforce their beliefs, or worse, defy the law in favor of their beliefs, who are the real problem.
So long as you communicate the truth in a persuasive and winsome way,
Jiminy Jillikers, radioactive man.
if another person rejects it or gets upset, I would still argue that you were 100% successful in your endeavor, because your part of the bargain ends after you finish communicating the truth.
You can't handle the truth!
And then you leave the results up to God. And so I think this helps to kind of give some perspective as to what our role is and what God's role is, and to realize that, man, yeah, sometimes we're going to say things that are true, and we might say them in the most possibly winsome and gracious way.
Jiminy Jillikers! Jiminy Jillikers!
But people are still going to get upset. And that's just the nature of the gospel. It's just the nature of the truth of what we're talking about.
He doesn't even consider that maybe his message is a bad one. He simply calls it the truth. It's like our not being convinced is a failure on our part, not the fault of his dogma. And that kind of attitude is what leads me to say, don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. Not rating and subscribing has been found to cause obesity, acne, and male pattern baldness in laboratory rats.